Welcome to the Workplace Wellbeing Essential Series. I'm Mari Ryan. I'm the CEO and founder of Advancing Wellness. It is my pleasure to welcome you today to this expert interview where we explore topics that impact employee well-being. My guest today is Jon Bicknell. Jon is a certified financial planner. He is with over 24 years experience in helping clients achieve their financial dreams. Jon's goal is to act as a client's financial guide and advocate. He and his team offer a comprehensive approach to financial and retirement planning so clients can gain financial clarity and retire with confidence. The financial plans he creates with his clients blend tax, investment, insurance, and estate planning advice along with a bit of coaching. Jon graduated from the University of Vermont in 1994 with a Bachelor of Science in Finance. When Jon's not working, he can be found spending time with his wife and 2 teenage children, or out on his bike or skiing in the winter in his free time. Jon, I'm so excited to have you here today for this conversation.
Absolutely, Mari. Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Well, let's dig into our topic today. We know we're living in unprecedented times. A perfect storm has wreaked havoc with our world. With the pandemic, which has created economic downturn, resulting in significant unemployment. Stress is at an all-time high, and a large part of that may be due to financial stress.
Yeah.
So in today's conversation, we're going to dig into financial well-being, which is a major pillar of overall well-being. So Jon, let's just talk a little bit about why is financial well-being so important?
Well, obviously you've been talking about well-being for a while, and my perspective is certainly from the finance end. But I look to a couple of the experts in preparing for this podcast, and there's some really neat research that's been going on for years and years in the workplace, and there's a lot of interesting things that come out of them, and somewhat scary things. I think, there's 2 sides of financial wellness. There's the employee side, and then the employer side. I think, from looking at some of the studies, the employee side, it's pretty clear, anxiety, nervousness, feeling overwhelmed, headaches, 58% of people that were in John Hancock's survey that I'm referring to, it's a financial stress survey, that 58% of them said that they experienced some of these symptoms due to their personal finances. So, I think that's one of the things from obviously the employee perspective is just general nervousness and uncomfort.
Yeah. And there's such a great impact on your physical, I think that directly translates to your physical health when you're it's so the financial well-being or the financial status is the source of the stress and the anxiety, but that certainly can also cause significant impact on your physical health as well.
For sure. Yeah. So, absenteeism in the workplace. So all the things that affect a person's physical well-being are part of this well-being that is, finances.
Yeah. So what are you seeing with your clients, Jon? I'm curious in general with regard to financial well-being. Are your clients anxious? Are they nervous? Are they stressed? Tell us, what are you seeing?
I think that my perspective may not be the entire perspective. I tend to work with folks that, have been working with me or have a financial plan. But I know that, everyone out there is thinking of well-being. I just met with some clients that, just really didn't have any reason to worry. They had some family wealth and been saving for a good long period of time. And this gentleman asked me, hey, am I okay to retire? Am I okay? And it's definitely nothing I've ever heard from him before. And, yesterday I was with some folks that were worried about their jobs. I was helping a business owner that was transitioning to his employees this business, and they were looking at buying into this business to make sure that the kind of big guys, the consolidators in this case, healthcare consolidators, didn't just gobble them up and replace them with technology. So I think that's kind of a concern that's in the back of people's minds, technology and the speed at which business is moving these days.
Yeah, and I would think that it's also this question about, can I retire? Am I okay to retire? I think this is one that a lot of people have really started to contemplate, with the job insecurity that's going on, with the state of the economy. And, if you happen to be lucky enough to have your portfolio bounce back after the depths that they hit earlier this year,
Yeah.
then you might feel okay. But I think a lot of people are feeling insecure. Are you seeing that as well?
Definitely. There's no doubt about it. Whether people are saying it or not, I think we're all feeling a bit insecure at all levels. Folks that have a good financial plan going and folks that don't. That's one of the things that I refer to in the study, or I look at in the study. Over 50% of people just, they don't even know how much they need to retire, and that's how can you possibly feel comfortable if you don't know where you are and on the path to retirement.
What do you think gets in people's ways for preventing them from creating these kinds of plans and understanding what it's going to take to live a life beyond, working, and really to plan for that? Why are people not doing this?
Yeah. So, the biggest concerns that were out there for planning, I think it's really going to come down to education. So, education in people's finances, I think that's the biggest hurdle. They are, in one of several places. They either have a whole bunch of concerns around just spending and saving for, or making their expenses to income work. Oftentimes the folks that are just starting out, they're saddled with some debt. And so that's one of the, I think, things that impedes them. But if the plain old answer to that question, it's education, as they just, they need more education.
All right. Well, that's one of the things that employers can do to help.
Yeah.
It might be fair to say that many people are not thriving in terms of their financial well-being right now. So let's explore this idea of financial stress and what does it take? Education's one element, but what does it take for people to get to a place where they're comfortable from the financial stress perspective? They can manage their debt, they can manage to have savings and have enough money for an emergency and those kinds of things. What does it take?
Well, I always say financial planning, it's not really that simple. So let's get back to basics. Let's get first to, the lever of income. And and that's, I think, one of the things for the employers that might be watching is from an employee's perspective, increasing income can make their financial plan better. So, we don't want them to leave the current employer and go look for more income. And that's, again, why they should be in these financial wellness programs. The second lever of financial planning is always expenses. And, oftentimes people just don't realize that it's the Starbucks coffee or, living in too big of an apartment or a house or having too big of a this or that that makes income and expenses not line up, so they don't have something left over, which is savings. And that's always the third part of a financial plan. It's how much savings you're able to generate or in retirement have.
Well, those are really good reminders of the basics. But I'm wondering, one of the things that I'm curious about is whether people have the skills, and especially, you talk about education, but I think there's a skill gap here as well, especially for individuals at lower income levels. When I was, graduating from high school, graduating from college, there weren't these management of life courses where they taught you how to build a budget and manage debt and those kinds of things.
Right.
So do you see this as well? Is there a skill gap that maybe is perhaps existing there?
Yeah. Well, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Do you know how many states in the United States have a mandated high school finance program?
I have no clue. No. Are there
17.
any? 17?
Only 17 out of 50. So
wow.
You're totally right. This is something that just unfortunately doesn't get taught in, and again, it's just the basics. It's how do we really the savings is very simple, right? It's that income minus expenses equals savings, right? It's got to be that basic. And so I think that's the thing that people miss out on. But, because they get in, well, everyone else is going out for Starbucks coffee, or everyone else is doing this, and they don't, I think, put their minds to it. So, when I was looking at this study that John Hancock had out, you realize, 50% of the retirement plan participants that they studied didn't have enough savings to cover a $2,000 emergency expense. That's scary.
It's
right?
very scary. Yeah. And I've heard that number even lower, that people wouldn't even have the money to cover a $400, car breakdown expense.
Right.
That's scary. Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess it's, so what is it? It's making sure that you understand the basics.
Well, beyond the basics, so what is it that employers can do? Because I always, my audience often is the employer, and they're in a position, certainly the employer plays a huge role in everyone's financial well-being, since there's so many, not just compensation, but benefits and other elements that come into play. So we can't overlook this employer role. So what would you say to employers that they could do to support their employees in this financial well-being realm?
Well, it's have a plan. So, and fortunately, versus 5 years ago, many more employers are understanding, the loss in productivity, that financial stress has on people. It's been estimated essentially that each employee costs about $1,900 a year in those kinds of expenses, loss of productivity or absenteeism. And so without these programs, the employers are only hurting themselves. And so, and I think that's the first thing, is to understand it, and then to realize, well, we have to, do something about this. And the do something is really the workshops, is creating a workshop program that, that's tailored to the type of employee that the company has.
So when you say the type of employee the company has, so meaning based on their education level, their earning level, would be the criteria?
Yeah. So those would be the things that you would look at. There's, if it's a lower skilled workplace, then it's more about the basics again, but budget, cash flow, what an investment is, what a retirement plan is. Maybe up the line a little bit might be, saving for college, or home ownership, or life insurance if you're, married, something like that. And then, obviously the one that hits everybody, no matter what bracket they're in, it's retirement income planning. It's a retirement plan, and getting there so you have enough money and can eventually create the income that will replace your job income.
And are these types of programs often, we have different needs at different ages. So, what the millennial or the college graduate is looking at, or the, new family trying to buy a home, versus someone who's trying to, get out of paying off their kids' college loans and getting to their secure retirement. So do these programs vary across the life spectrum?
Definitely. No. So I think that's the key, is that the employer would work with whatever professional they're doing the retirement plan. Folks are starting to pick up on this, and they are creating these financial literacy programs for retirement plan employees, because those employees are the ones that are exposed to the company retirement plan. So that's the customization is there, and there's a lot more ability with technology these days to, I think, have that augmented with online tools, financial planning tools that are self-service, videos that cover different topics, single item planning tools like a college education planner, or even a retirement income kind of planner, even though that would require more inputs typically, but kind of individual topics that the
Excellent.
employer.
Well, a lot of great things that employers can do to support everyone. And And this is the time to bring all that to the employees, to the workforce, so that they can really start to be thriving in this area.
Yeah.
Jon, if our audience wants to learn more about you and the work that you're doing, where can they find you?
Sure. Thanks. So I'm jonbicknell.com and I'm with Cetera Advisors. Thanks.
Excellent. Thanks so much for being here. It's always great to spend time with you, Jon.
Mari, same with you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks.